know the issues. We know about energy. We know about the border. We know Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing. We know all that. We get all that. But why do this? Why do this here tonight with Legacy PAC? Because there's a whole lot of people who have the passion to save this country who need help getting off the ground.
The purpose of Legacy PAC is to save America. That's our mission. That's what we really want to do because America's worth saving.
I am by trade, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Okay, so this is my first run in politics. We need more conservative Republicans standing up and fighting for the Constitution.
We're an America First PAC, and we want to promote and help our up-and-coming candidates, and we're going to be holding the line for President Trump.
I joined the Army at 17 years old. My first day at my first unit, which was 25th Infantry, was September 10th, 2001. So the next day was 9/11. And I spent about a total of a decade between Iraq and Afghanistan in country. So my country means everything to me. When I realized that if people like myself who don't want to be politicians don't start stepping up and taking these seats, that nothing's going to change, then I said, okay, I'll do it.
Who deserves to lead the people of this country more than those who serve this country? So I'm behind every one of them. So let's make sure we get more veterans into power. I'm all for it.
Remember why you're involved. We have to make sure people remain humble and not engage in self-glorification. You are here for one reason, and that is to save the country. Period. End of story.
And for those candidates who are looking uphill and wondering how, keep your head down, focus on the target, and outwork everybody. And I promise you, you're not gonna lose. You're either gonna win on election night or you change the game on election night. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much, Legacy PAC.
Thank you, Legacy PAC.
Under this administration, they have deliberately opened the border to fundamentally change the fabric of our country.
I'm Jared Craig with Legacy PAC. We are here at Eagle Pass, Texas, to bring attention to the border crisis, to educate the voters, the citizens of the United States, and the candidates running for federal office, the importance of a secure border.
And at Legacy PAC, we want to bring candidates here to the border to see it firsthand, because there is nothing like being here, seeing this. We saw women and children climbing over barbed wire. There is no reason why we cannot secure this border. There is no reason to keep this open. This is not humane. So we need to get Victor and all these other good America First candidates into office.
We at Legacy PAC depend on your donation and support to support these projects. We can't do it without you. So please go on to legacypac.org and show your support.
This is a Knott, solid. This is a Knott, strong. And this is Brad Knott, the solid, strong conservative for Congress. As a prosecutor, Brad Knott jailed drug kingpins for life. Brad Knott dismantled drug empires. Brad Knott nailed Mexican cartels. Solid, strong, conservative. Brad Knott for Congress. Paid for and authorized by the American Foundations Committee, Inc., not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
And Stan, where's Stan? Stan is with Veterans for Trump.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you all. We're honored. I know there are so many organizations represented here today.
We're saying here too much. But you're going to do very well. And I just had somebody write down, first of all, James and Sarah Pritchard, thank you very much. Yes, great job. Thank you. We appreciate all the help. Stanley and Donna Fitzgerald.
Right here, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's great that you're with us. Mike Acton.
Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for Trump, and I'm here with Brad Knott, who's running for Congress in North Carolina. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Hey, Stan. Good to be with you. I'm well. Hope you are.
Well, thank you, sir. We are. Brad, can you tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Absolutely. My professional career is almost exclusively in law enforcement. I worked as a federal prosecutor for the better part of 8 years. I worked with law enforcement at every level. What does that mean? From local small town police departments, sheriff's offices, big city police departments, state police, all the way up to the three-letter agencies, DEA and ATF predominantly, but some Homeland Security, some FBI, etc. My exclusive forays as a prosecutor were around organized crime. That includes everything from the traditional organized crime, which is drug trafficking, gang activity, violence, firearm trafficking. In the last couple of years, there was certainly a surge of human trafficking, money laundering, and much more so than people would realize, there's an international component to this, directly tied to our immigration policies, honestly. But there's been a surge of very serious crime here in North Carolina and abroad. My investigations, when I say abroad, outside North Carolina, my investigations touched nearly every state, some other countries, and it was a real honor to work with law enforcement and to lead those investigations. And it was the only job that I ever wanted out of law school. So it was a dream come true to be a prosecutor. Personally, I was born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. My family has been sort of Raleigh and East for several generations. So Wilson, Knightdale, Wendell, places like that. I have two daughters. One turned 3 years old yesterday, and one turned a 1 year old about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So lifelong North Carolina resident, happy to be in this race, career law enforcement. And we've got a lot of work to do. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, we appreciate your service, sir, because we do work with both veterans and law enforcement, and prosecutors are law enforcement in our book. Brad, tell us a little bit about the policies you're going to work on as a member of Congress. I know you're focusing on the border, which is in line with our policies. Tom Homan is on our advisory board, so we've been working on securing the border for years.
Sure. Well, Stan, it's an absolute mess right now, and I don't know if it is disqualifying negligence or if it is some type of nefarious intent. But the open border is eroding the fabric of our country in many respects. It has to be secured. There are several ways to go about doing this. Yes, the wall needs to be finished, but we cannot stop there. I would submit that we need to directly attack the incentive of people to come to the United States illegally. How do we do that? Well, the law needs to get tighter in several areas. One of the most common areas that I saw as a prosecutor working with law enforcement was counterfeit Social Security cards, counterfeit birth certificates, and the like. Illegal immigrants would take these documents, and sometimes they would try to get honest jobs with those documents. Technically, it's illegal to hire. It is illegal to hire illegal immigrants, but illegal immigrants have figured out a way around that system. We need to punish the people who enable that end around. Secondly, there must be an open and shut law if someone is here illegally and they commit a crime. My proposal is, if you are in the United States illegally and you commit a felony of any type, it should be a minimum of 5 years in prison. So if you are an illegal immigrant who commits, let's say you drive under the influence and you get convicted in a small county in North Carolina, that's just that alone should subject you to 5 years in prison and then automatic deportation, no questions asked. And obviously, if there's violence, if there are drugs, if there are firearms, you could enhance that 5 year minimum to 5, 10, 15 years, whatever suits. But when I was working with law enforcement investigating these crimes, Stan, there were some people who I talked with who had been deported 4, 5, 6. One guy was over 10 times, and they just kept coming back. And when I would ask them why you kept coming back, the answer was chilling, but it was somewhat similar across the board. They said, "Why wouldn't I? They can come here with no resistance. They can come here with nothing but a bounty at the end of their rope. And they come here, they poison our communities, they inflict violence. They are here to strictly plunder from the American citizen. And if you secure the border, if you really crack down on the hiring of illegals with, increased verification, punishing counterfeit documents, and then coming down really hard on illegal felons who commit felonies here, that could sort of invert the system we now have. The system we now have, it demotes the American citizen. It's horrific. It demotes the American citizen and places the illegal immigrant at higher standing. We've seen it all over the country, whether it's tax dollars that goes to house, feed, and clothe these illegal immigrants. The most egregious example I've seen recently, I'm sure you've seen it. There was a school in New York, I believe it was, that was cleared out. It's now remote learning. Children are staying at home, taking an inferior track so that their facility can be used to house illegal immigrants. It's one of those moments where you just scratch your head and say, what in the world are we doing? And then lastly, I will say the United States is not an open-ended charity. There are people all over the world who are hurting. There are people all over the world who want a better life. You cannot fault them for that. But we cannot weaken the United States through illegal immigration, through a deluge of nearly 10 million people in the last 3 years. That scale, that amount will cripple this country. And the last thing I will submit is there should be a cap on how many people seeking asylum, how many people seeking some type of protection from the United States should be allowed to enter. Otherwise, it will continue to flood, it will continue to strain, and it will continue to erode our communities across this country. It has to stop. It's not just a political point, it's an actual practical point. 10 million people, 3 years, we cannot sustain that.
It's almost unbelievable, but the numbers are correct. And what you're proposing, I'm very certain President Trump would sign should Congress propose the new laws that you're suggesting, and it would make a big difference in securing our country. And along that line, Brad, people across the country are watching this banana republic persecution of President Trump in multiple states. And I have friends of mine here in Georgia charged with. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the weaponization of the government? And also tell us a little bit about your views on President Trump running for office.
Absolutely.
Close with that.
I will, as a former prosecutor, I can tell you that the power that the federal government has to investigate, the power that the federal government has to prosecute, it's an awesome power in the term of the strength that it has. The federal government, whether it's through subpoenas, whether it's access to evidence, other agencies, data, etc., it's a very, very real power that the federal government has. And one of the things that the federal government has really, really done that's harmed the reputation of the Department of Justice is you have these efforts in Washington, D.C. that have all but solidified, regardless of party affiliation. If Mr. Trump's last name was something other than Trump, he would not be targeted like he is being targeted. And when that's the case, people will lose faith in the federal government's Department of Justice. And destabilizing that institution is one of the gravest concerns I have about what they're doing to Donald Trump. I mean, just the mere fact that he is being prosecuted for acts that nearly every predecessor before him have committed. The show of force that we saw at Mar-a-Lago, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. There's really no question about the suit that he is facing in New York right now. He finishes the Iowa caucuses and he goes to New York for this lawsuit brought by Miss James. It was not brought by people who were hurt by Donald Trump. It was not brought by people who lost money because of Donald Trump. It was brought because a rogue elected official, Miss James, ran on destroying Donald Trump, and that's what she's doing. So the left has shamelessly used their power to go after a man strictly because of what he has done politically. And that is sort of one of the very real and dangerous dominoes that is falling right now that we must get ahead of, and we must change course immediately. In terms of whether or not those lawsuits are going to be successful. I don't know how you define successful. I mean, some of those suits are in very deep blue and very partisan areas, and I think that's by design. So I think that was strategic, that was intentional, and they may get a conviction at the base level, at the trial level, but I have hope, and I anticipate that there will be some real correction at the appellate level. I certainly hope that's the case, because from what I've seen, none of those lawsuits are justified. None of them are anything more than political disruptions, and that's a real problem. In terms of Mr. Trump, at a very foundational level, anybody has to appreciate what that man has gone through, in terms of his fight, in terms of his endurance, in terms of what he has been willing to put on the line to run for office and to try to achieve things that he knows will make this country better. I know that there are people who are turned off by sometimes his tough talk, sometimes his mannerisms. But here's what I tell people all across my district. You can advocate for someone other than Trump. You can fight for someone other than Trump. But it looks like Mr. Trump is going to win this nomination going away. And when that happens, all of us must join forces and work feverishly, not only to propel him back to the White House, but to defeat Joe Biden, most importantly. What Joe Biden has done to this country is irredeemable if it keeps going. It will undo the fabric of our country. And as we saw last night, Donald Trump's work is paying off. He is securing a dominant campaign in this primary process, and it's incumbent upon all of us who know we must take America back to support the nominee. And that nominee is going to be Donald Trump. Like him or not like him, we must all get behind Donald Trump, because one thing that, regardless of your preference, regardless of your personal taste, Donald Trump has identified some very serious issues that must be fought against, that must be won. Immigration is one of them. Taxes, regulation. I mean, Donald Trump before COVID had an economy that was booming, the likes of which I have not seen in my lifetime. How did he do that? He attacked the deep state. He attacked regulations, the red tape that are promulgated by zealots in Washington. He undid that stuff. Foreign policy. Look at where we were in 2019 and 20 before he left office. He never started a war. He had strong diplomacy. He had strong military posturing, and there was peace in the Middle East. It's astounding. And right now, I'll close with this, Stan, just to highlight what Mr. Trump brought to the forefront with immigration. We have military conflicts that we are either directly involved in or involved in as a backer around the world: Ukraine, Israel, Yemen, operations throughout the Middle East and Africa. And while all of that's going on, Joe Biden refuses to finish the wall, and he leaves the border open. It is insanity what is going on right now. It's absolutely insane. The United States is an open target. The border is able to be crossed by anybody who will show up. And my prayer is that we will not suffer because of that. But if there are enemies around the world who want to come to the United States and inflict harm on our citizens, on our own soil, there is nothing that could stop them with an open border. So the one issue that Donald Trump is most famous for, build the wall. If there's ever a time for that to be a rallying cry, protect our homeland, protect our citizens, we must get behind Donald Trump. So I'll close with that.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. We have closed the application process in your race now. We have 3 America First candidates, yourself included, submitted for endorsement, and it'll go to a vote in a week or so.
Right.
Where can people across the country find your website?
Absolutely. It's bradnottforcongress.com. It's one word, BRADKNOTTFOR Congress.com. They can go there. There's a link. If you have any questions or would like to contact me personally, it's info@bradnottforcongress.com. I will get those messages, and either myself or my staff will arrange a time to talk, whether it be Zoom, telephone, or in-person meeting. Campaigning can be a drag, but one thing that I truly enjoy is meeting and talking with people like yourself, Stan, who really care about the country and want us to do better. And I would much rather go meet someone for coffee or a Zoom or lunch than call people and raise money. So please reach out. I would love to talk, and I look forward to hearing from people whenever I get those messages.
Well, we appreciate your service, sir, and best of luck, and we'll talk again soon.
Great. Thank you, Stan.
You're welcome.